Your attention, please. This is your official civil defense broadcaster.
One of the greatest threats would be radioactive fallout.
Uranium fever.
Where fallout is heaviest, it can even kill those who have not taken proper shelter.
Broadcasting deep underground in a questionably constructed survivalist bunker is Dave CHAFINZ and KENNETH VIGUE, and your host, as always, Mr. Robots. This episode of the Fallout Hub is brought to you by Sugar Bombs. Sugar Bombs! Who needs teeth anyway?
Hey guys, test. I think I've got the recording stuff working. Come on over. Check this out.
Let me grab a Nuka-Cola first.
Are those the ones that were in the fridge?
I'm sure they're fine. They're what, 10, 15 years old?
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to taste great. So check this out. Remember the recording stuff I found the other day? I've been messing with it. It looks like it works. And strangely enough, it seems like there's like microphones all over this vault, like all over the place. Like I can totally tell from when Dave went to the bathroom that we are definitely going to need to fix that toilet.
So is there like a filter to make me sound like a person from the 1950s? Is there like a setting in there that we can work with? Or
maybe? I haven't gotten that far yet, but I'm recording right now, so I figured we'd kind of do a test run of, some of the stuff we've been talking about, see if we can't get it down and then maybe transmit it somehow out of here. I'll figure that part out later, but what do you guys think about that?
I think that's great. I think that we need a signal on some Pip Boys, maybe somewhere that people could go and find it, and then listen to every a Pipcast. There we go.
Pipcast. There we go. So here, well, let's just go with it then. All right, welcome everyone who's listening to our new Pipcast, the Fallout Hub, and we are very excited. This is our first actual episode, and we are here in our secret vault talking about Fallout stuff because that's what the three of us love to talk about. And when I mentioned the three of us, there's myself, Robots, or Tom from the Fallout Lorecast, and also we have Ken from Chad, a Fallout 76 story. I was like, there's a last word there somewhere. Hey Ken, how's it going?
Okay, this Nuka-Cola is not right. I'm seeing sounds right now, but I'm fine. This is fine. I'm fine.
Okay. I think that's called synesthesia. Very cool. We are part of a vault experiment right now currently where you can drink Nuka-Cola and see sounds. Very nice. And then we also have Dave from the Vault Boys WV and the Cryptid Cast. Dave, how's it going?
It is going very well. I'm gonna move this little modulator here and see if it's even. Oh, it's the wrong voice. I have just the lower one. That's it.
Is that better?
Nice.
Is there a sinus infection button that I can press here? I don't think they have. I don't think that's Vault Tech. I think that might be Aperture or something.
Yeah. Clearly we haven't been in this vault very long. We're still trying to figure out what all the things are in here.
Yeah, we're kicking cans.
But if you listen to our little intro episode, we did find a Mr. Handy who has been super fun to hang out with. He's beat me in chess like 3 times already.
Jesus, that guy's crazy.
Yeah.
What are we gonna call him?
I don't know. Maybe we should ask our listeners to come up with a name for him.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah, we should probably do that. Are you going to be okay with that, Mr. Handy, if we just rename you?
Today's a hell of a day to die, commie.
Alrighty then.
So,
that Mr. Handy, he can really. That guy's a talker.
He's a legend.
He's a legend. He's also the best chess players I've ever met. So what we're doing here is we are discussing all things Fallout, specifically community stuff, and I didn't say that word right, did I? Community stuff and news about Fallout 76, because the three of us are very excited about Wastelanders and some of the new things coming out with that, and some of the things the community's doing in order to keep that game alive, along with some other just fun things for each episode that we put out there. And each week we're going to have different segments. And so for this one, we're going to start out with news.
Telegram, news from Bethesda.
All right, Dave's going to kick off the news segment. Dave, what do we have this week for news?
So first of all, I would like to choose a designation for myself, since I am in real life from Charleston, West Virginia. I would like to be called the Charleston Herald if I'm delivering the news.
Do you have a stick coming out of
It's
your
like a
head?
newspaper or like a
Nope.
traditional medieval herald. Is there going to be a trumpet?
I like to think that I have a trumpet
or
back here.
Herald from the actual games.
You know, I think Brian Fargo was a trumpet player maybe in middle school, and he left one of them over in the corner, and I think I can go pick it up. But you know,
Just don't do it right now while we're recording. That's probably not a great idea.
well, okay, maybe another time we'll break out the old Brian Fargo trumpet and get it rolling. I think it has a big BF in it. Anyways, let's get into some news. This week, I feel like I should be like Mr. New Vegas at this point and be like, and now some news. That's my best Mr. New Vegas impression. It won't get better.
Okay.
Okay. First piece of news, and I'm condensing a lot of the Inside the Vault articles together into one collective thing. Vault 94, which is the raid that has been going on in several waves, week per week, is closing. So last year, Bethesda opened the doors to Vault 94 to bring us repeatable, high-level content in the form of Vault raids. Through community feedback and monitoring, they've decided that Vault 94 and its missions are not delivering the quality of experience they had hoped to provide. As a result, they are currently planning to shut down Vault 94 alongside the release of the Wastelanders update.
No more crazy plants.
No more plant armor.
No more plant armor.
Which, if you ever go to like a Scorch Beast fight, or like something where it's like everyone in the server is there and somebody's wearing the plant armor, there's a lot of effects in general, just because it has that like what is it, the poison kind of effect that like the steam rolls off of it. There's just a lot of different things going on with that armor.
It's got that acid attack effect, and
yeah,
the people that you talk to when you want to know about naughty things, apparently there's an issue with the AMD processor, and for whatever reason it cannot calculate the math. So that's why you kind of glitch out.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah, so supposedly you're still going to be able to get all the rewards and things in the future,
Right.
just through different means. You just can't play the raid anymore at some point.
Did you guys play the Vault 94 raid?
I didn't, because my character is not that high, and everything when it first came out, everyone was like, "Yeah, everything's a bullet sponge. You're going to go through all your ammo." And I was like, I'm not going to, go collect ammo for 15 hours just to try the vault once." So it was kind of a turnoff for me.
I decided to try it just as like, because you had to do it like 3 different times to get to 3 different scenarios, and so I watched someone like go through it on day 1 and try to figure it out, and then I went to go do it, and I got like halfway through it to a point where I was like, okay, you know what? And I had to have an evaluation of, am I having fun right now? Or am I just kind of like going through the motions here just to try something? And so I went back to visiting people's camps and clearing out West Tech, which was a lot more fun.
Yeah, it was. I did it once just to do it, and it was not fun at all. I burned through a ridiculous amount of stim packs, and it was too grindy with not enough of a fun reward.
Right.
Yeah, it seems like with that kind of thing, and maybe other games would be, I can't think of a parallel to connect this to, but the kind of thing where like you enter the vault, you are given X amount of stim packs, X amount of ammo, like you're kind of ammoed up and equipped for it, and then you run through it, and there are places throughout the vault that like re-ammo you, re-stim pack you as you finish certain rounds. Like that would make more sense, because otherwise you're just investing all of your own time and effort into collecting those things, and then you're burning it all out really
like
quick.
I went through 80 stim packs, and if you have to make those, I mean, grinding for resources just to make stim packs, even if you do super duper, is kind of a pain.
Yeah, it just takes a lot of time.
And we didn't end up completing it. We ended up losing that, and that was on the simplest setting. So I was like, that's all right.
Yeah, it's like there was an easy mode, right? Or was, but you didn't get the full reward if you did it that
Correct,
way, right?
Yeah. We did it on the easy mode, and we still failed miserably.
Yeah. I could see a situation where they could go back into that content, but they're really going to have to reconsider the balance of the cost to reward balance.
It was disappointing because I think we all have been so excited about vault raids and each of them having kind of a story, because the going into vaults and exploring them is such a memorable part of previous Fallout games that this was just kind of a letdown.
Yeah. Well, this news article feels kind of like a bummer, but I think it's a good news that they are reevaluating it and probably going to be bringing some better content in the future. Is there something else in the news that's a little bit more, I don't know, a little more positive?
A little more upbeat. I think I have something for you. So Wastelanders beta testing is currently live. Yes. The opt-in period, though, has already passed. So the opt-in for the beta testing is closed. But from the reports, it looks like maybe around 100 people have been given access, and they've already received details in their email, but they're under NDA, so we won't be finding out anything from them. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, they're keeping it really tight. Like 100 people is a very small group.
Right. I think the best thing about it is that they're actually like testing it with the public as a test.
Yes.
That's just kind of wild to me.
That's madness.
It is madness. I'm amazed that it's like, okay, we're gonna go through, and we're gonna take as much time as we want to go through and work out these bugs and do this stuff. I'm just like, yes, this is what I want to see. I'm like rooting for them. I'm like in the stands right now going, yeah, let's go team.
Yeah. I'm excited that they're actually doing that, directly engaging with those people and kind of reshaping the experience based on direct feedback, as opposed to maybe the pre-beta or the beta that we had when we got started.
I felt like that the pre-beta was more like, let's do a what do you call it, like a stress test. And see if he could take it, and then the stress test did not work, but everything happened anyways.
So along with the new content that's going to be part of this, there's a lot of bug fixes, and I have a feeling a lot of this testing is also going to be solving a lot of the bug issues, so that we don't have the same recurrence of, hey, we fixed it, and then another patch comes out and goes, well, we unfixed it, and then it's like, crap.
Imagine the news articles that come out that are going to be like, okay, if they pull it off and they have the new content and it's pretty much bug free, you're not going to get 100% bug free, but like pretty good. Like, right. I mean, talk about an underdog story at that point. I mean, that's newsworthy.
Most people don't realize that there are two builds of the game, with Wastelanders being a completely separate build. So sometimes some of the weird issues that we have with patches are from them moving it from that newer build to this older, more problematic build. I'm hoping with the new build we get a lot more stability in terms of hacking and duping and stuff.
Yes.
Speaking
absolutely.
Of which, on the hacking and duping thing, we kind of had a little situation over Christmas. I'm counting Christmas in current news because it's within the past month, and since we're doing it monthly, it makes the most sense. Ken, I believe that you're our reporter in the field for this one. Can you give us a little bit of updates on what exactly is going on the PC side of things in Fallout 76?
Well, if Dave is the Herald, then what is Ken?
Ken is the gumshoe.
I'm the investigative journalist.
The investigative journalist.
I go by codename PC.
It's a podcast within a podcast. This is Serial Fallout 76. My name is Ezra Koenig.
So I'm like the newscaster guy. I'm like, and coming in from the field, our investigative journalist, PC.
I'm gonna flip up my collar and duck into the shadows here. I was there that terrible Christmas just wandering the wasteland with friends. Then all of a sudden, a man in his underwear rushes towards you, strips you completely nude, and then vanishes into the ether.
And normally I'd pay for that, but in this case I wasn't.
I mean, in some cities, that's like a dinner and a date kind of situation.
Yeah, I mean, I was just in Vegas. I saw that happen in like every corner.
Yeah, that's... No,
there were guys handing out cards. Hey, you want this experience? And we're like, no, thank you.
What happens in the wasteland stays in the wasteland. Yeah, so there's kind of an interesting backstory to it. Some people who've been kind of following that story, I know Juice has done a really good job of chronicling that. But if you do not know what happened on PC, if you play on consoles, so there is a hacker named ErectBan, a name that I'm confident that he is a ladies' man, a man about town.
Yes.
Barely
Yes.
time to get out from underneath women to pull these things together, but
yeah, are you kidding? He's on top of women.
He is. He's like Shaft.
He's like Shaft.
He's like Shaft.
Yeah.
He's sitting there behind his.
Yeah.
He's
Can you
sitting
dig
there
it?
behind his computer. Damn right.
Damn right. You a bad mother? Mm.
Oh, this is a terrible. Why did we come down here? This is a terrible idea. What have we gotten ourselves into?
I think he probably talks
What
like
could
that
possibly
too.
go wrong? Yeah. So ErectBan is someone who I know.
Every time you say that name.
This is
Go on.
professionalism from our reporter in the field.
Yeah.
So who
Bone
again?
Negative is someone who has made a name for himself, kind of identifying the weaknesses with this engine, and then finding ways to compile hacks that can allow for manipulation of the game space. There's been some interesting ones that people probably heard about, spawning in like the Pridwin from Fallout 4, creating unique weapons that technically shouldn't exist. Other weird things like hovering in the air above Whitespring, like Goku from Dragon Ball Z, summoning just thousands of mini nukes, and then raining hellfire down on the Whitespring. There's footage out there floating around of that, and it's
You showed me that, and it is quite impressive.
I mean, it is kind of
it's in
funny,
fact,
but concerning.
I don't even understand how to do that with console commands in Fallout 4. It looks great.
Could you
though.
imagine being a level 10 in a workshop, just like, here I am getting some copper and, some junk. And then you just see someone like a horrible, vengeful god hovering in the air above you. And the next thing you know, everything goes white and your game crashes.
Yeah, he's like in Super Saiyan 3 mode and dropping nukes on the planet.
Be gone,
He
peasant.
could do some good role play.
He could, yeah. Like, I'm Thor, Goku,
Thorku.
General Zod.
Yeah, there you
He's
go.
when the children of Adam pray to a god, he's the god.
That's exactly it.
He is Adam.
So the hack essentially would allow a player to turn another player into a container and then basically empty that container. I know. I've been
Okay.
transformed into a stash box.
Help! I'm a stash box. Oh, somebody's stuck in the stash box. No, I am the stash
Get your
box.
hand.
It's the Professor McGonagall transfiguration cheat.
Get your hand out of my stash. So that was a real problem for a lot of players. There was a viral video that went around with someone who, I guess, had done that to hundreds of people in a day. Probably not the best Christmas gift. So Bethesda quickly rolled out a patch to nerf the ability to do that. It was unclear what they did, but it no longer worked after that. There are still some existing glitches that kind of work like that, where things can be deposited into a player, into their...
They were advertising that in Vegas also.
It's usually after a few Nuka Darks and some quiet music at the Whitespring. some
Yeah, somebody
dancing.
slips something in your drink, and then
You wake up the next day in that cart from Skyrim, the Easter egg. So that's what's going on with that. They've been aggressively banning a lot of these people, actively purging a lot of people that are in that community, and people that I know through association got removed from the game.
like removed
from like
bye-bye
not
account.
just soft ban, about hardware bans. And it's not just a simple hardware ban. It was across multiple components. So you'd essentially have to swap out components of your PC for new ones in order to get back in.
It's interesting.
Wow. So
I'm
the
amazed
people
by
who
that
lost. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
No, I'm just amazed by that kind of stuff. Like being able, like, I understand like banning an IP or something, but like with VPNs and stuff, I'm just amazed at like some of the ways that people like combat any kind of like security system with a program or a game.
Yeah. So with everyone losing all these items, there was a big thing where Bethesda turned around and is actually giving people more stuff back, right?
Yeah, the way that it worked, there was one person in our group that was affected by it, and they, knowing this was coming, or maybe someone who was there while it was happening, since most of the team were off, maybe took a server snapshot. So they were able to create a cloned version of people's characters from before that happened. So in many instances, you didn't just get back what you lost, but really anything you had in your inventory. So for not being able to play that character for a month after losing some really god tier gear for most people, you ended up making out for the inconvenience. And I believe they also gave a bunch of atoms as well.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is that Bethesda is duping.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Exactly.
Yep. They're duping all your stuff.
They're duping all your stuff, but it's for a good cause.
We be duping.
Just give it back to you. we be duping. Well, cool. Good summary on all that stuff. So it seems like they're on it and fixing it, and also doing the right thing and giving people, yes, it was inconvenient, but they're giving you stuff back and extra for your.
I'm glad they're being
inconvenience, which is
responsive that
great.
way.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Chad. I keep on saying Chad in my brain, but what I mean is Ken. Ken, Chad, Simon, whichever one you are.
Whatever you want to call
Thank
me.
you so much for your reporting.
You sound like Simon, but your name says Chad.
Just stop reading so many things and listening to the Pipcast that we get in the vault.
Did you just assume?
Thank you.
Did you just assume my name?
I did assume your name.
In 2020, how dare you?
Well, it's 2076 where I'm from. Get a rim shot here. This is when the applause and laughter happens. Let's see. On to the next thing. Thank you so much for being the reporter in the field.
Yeah.
The next item on our list is the patch 17 Atom Shop item. So like always, when they do a patch, they always upload in bulk cosmetics to the Atom Shop and then release them over time. And I kind of wanted to pull up some of the interesting things that they have added to the Atom Shop. It's more like a buyer's guide if you were interested in any of that kind of stuff. They recently just finished a Western themed area in which they added grain silos, which I thought was really funny. And I like to imagine the phallic things that people are doing with those in their camps.
Of course.
I've seen a picture. That is exactly what you think it would be.
Yes. Two geodesic domes and a grain silo. Great for farming.
Man, we're hitting it off on our first episode. Being very, very good with the, twig and berry jokes.
Next item is the Nuka-Cola stuff that they added. They added a bunch of stuff like a ride and statues. But one thing I thought that was really cool is they've added in a door, like a secret compartment. And that is a lot like the door for the tattoo shop that takes you to the Nuka Shine pub.
Yeah. you can have little hidden rooms.
I was so excited when they gave us that door. It's just such a cool thing to be able to build a hidden interior room. There are a few problems with it though, and I can give you a tip. the bolts for it can be visibly seen. But you can, if you look online, you can do the double-sided wall glitch, where you can essentially put wallpaper on both sides. If you do that, and then apply wallpaper, it'll hide the bolts, so it'll blend in a little more seamlessly.
I'm interested in that when it comes to the people that do their camps that build, they build it like outside of the map boundaries. So like they'll put like a cooking stove down, and then you like press onto the cooking stove, and then go into.
Yes,
camp.
the underhenge.
Yes.
Let us descend.
The underhinge. They were, strangely enough, selling those at in Vegas.
A friend
also.
of mine has a camp that's right near one of the silos. So we'll go down there, and he has like a viewing area, and you can see the nuke appear and then fire off from underneath the map.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool thing to see.
So any other highlights from these? I'm scrolling through them right now. There's a bunch
The
of cool
last
stuff.
one that I think is the best one is they're adding a bunch of responder stuff, which the responders are, as far as like new factions, are probably one of my favorite, but they're adding an excavator power armor paint. It's not really a paint, it's more like a reskin that totally looks like Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue. I mean, it's got like little what do you call this, like flashing lights on the side, and it looks like essentially you turn into RoboCop at that point. You can even do limb damage, which I know RoboCop, pretty good at.
Yes. Yeah, these are
Go
great.
Voltron Force.
I mean, we could take a whole episode and go through all these different things they're adding in here. One of the things I really like are the Valentine's Day items that they've got, like the wallpapers and stuff.
Bed.
And there's the bed, which looks really cool. It's got hearts all over it. And then there's the wallpaper that's like heart radiation signs.
Yeah.
Inside
like
the
if you
hearts.
want to build a Las Vegas style questionable motel, it's perfect. The bed actually, you can click it to make a deposit coin noise, and the bed will vibrate.
Yeah, strangely enough, that wasn't in my hotel room in Vegas.
Oh, you got to stay at the good ones.
Oh, right.
You gotta go to Old Vegas. That's heard all of this.
Old
Reno.
Vegas, yeah. You have to go off the strip at this point. Yeah. And then the Nuka-Cola outfits, like the Nuka Cherry jumpsuit, the Nuka Dark.
Yeah, those look
jumpsuit.
really good.
They're looking pretty sweet. Yeah.
Folks, that is it for the news. I hope that you've enjoyed your time with the Charleston Herald. I will be back next month with many heraldings, including Brian Fargo's trumpet, which I have now cleaned out the several-year-old spit out of it, and we will be tooting all kinds of new and fun stuff.
Tooting all kinds of new and fun stuff. Very nice. Thank you, Dave.
You're very welcome.
All right. And there's definitely some more things that we want to go over in a future episode that we're going to put a little thumbnail on. Thumbnail? Thumbtack? Tack?
Yeah.
Bend the corner of the paper?
A dog-eared memo?
Dog-eared memo? Something.
A math
Do something
marker?
like
That's a joke about Fallout.
There you go. Yeah, I'll put one of those in.
Yeah.
Excuse me, masters, but the day grows short and your listeners could use a little Fallout 101.
One of the things that we want to get more into in these episodes for this podcast are some more of the in-game stuff having to do with builds and things that you can do now in the game. And Ken, everybody's been talking about the bloody builds for a while now.
Yes.
Can you fill us in on like where that is and just like I haven't built a bloody build yet. I know they've been the popular build, but what do we need to know about bloodied builds and what are they?
To be honest, I had never played Melee before 76. Previously,
Same.
I would do mini nukes, mini guns, really heavy weapons. It's just fun in Fallout 3, New Vegas, Fallout 4. This game has been a completely different experience. So my first character that I played through ended up being totally nerfed because I went for an explosive shotgun build, and then once the explosive shotgun was nerfed, my character was completely useless. So I started over from scratch. Everyone was talking about running a bloodied build. And since I had never, ever played melee in any previous Fallout game ever, I decided to give it a go. And I've fallen in love with it. It's a completely different play style as far as just kind of running into the fray and then just slashing away. It's a lot of fun when you get a lot of enemies kind of surrounding you. It's problematic, however, because bloodied build, I'm sure everybody knows, essentially you want to keep yourself low health to really...
Because the main perk is bloodied, which means that you do more damage the lower health you are.
Right, exactly.
Right. And that relates to your legendary weapon that you have. So generally, if you have like a gun or even a melee weapon, it has to have that bloody legendary effect on it.
Yeah,
right?
like I have one of the more god tier ones for that kind of a build is a bloodied meat hook, faster swing speed, +1 strength, which is the one that I have with a 3rd hook on it. And it is...
Which just sounds so delicious, a bloody meat hook.
I mean, it looks fantastic. But that, paired with a build that's really built for melee, can really make you pretty OP. Especially when you're doing a queen fight. The problem that I have, however, is because you run bloodied, radiation is always a problem for me. Which is one thing to bear in mind. But I also run a full set of unyielding scout armor, 3-star, which helps quite a bit. So
when you're running around the wasteland with your bloody build, just so people can visualize this, what percentage of health are you down to?
Probably 15-20%.
Okay, so you're just like the little bitty sliver of health down there at the bottom. So when you come across radiation, and you use the radiation in order to keep the health that low, right?
Yeah. You once you get to that point, you want to kind of stay at that point. So anyone in your team that has a medic build where they can wick away your rads, it becomes really problematic because you lose your strength very quickly by losing your rads. It also is problematic because you're technically a glass cannon. So you're really powerful if you start swinging quickly and enemies can't really gang up, corner you, and start whacking away. Because you have such little health to deal with, you can lose that pretty quickly. I counteract that with a lot of perks that can help in that kind of situation. Like Dodgy is super helpful. I use that quite a lot. Just to kind of negate as much damage as you can. It'll take it from your AP to kind of dodge you out of the way.
So the like baseline perks that you need are like a serendipity, which is the essentially when you're below 30% health, you gain a 45% chance to avoid damage. Nerd Rage is probably the most important one. That's while you're below 20% health, you gain a 40 damage resist and 20% damage increase and 15% AP regeneration. That's insane. That's the insane perk right there.
Yeah, that sounds pretty potent.
You can like add in adrenal reaction, which I think is that's the mutation that has the what's the effect on it?
Weapon damage at low HP, but it takes 50 off your max HP. That paired with Twisted Muscles. Twisted Muscles, you get plus 25% melee damage. But you're...
And that's a mutation. That's not a perk,
correct.
right?
Yeah, these are mutations that can also help.
One thing that you had mentioned to me that I didn't even think about is bumping up your endurance tree to get like full life giver.
Yes.
Which kind of offsets the mutation itself and gives you a lot more room. Because essentially, every point of health is critical when you're at that low state.
Yeah, like I don't use Nerd Rage on this one. I have 15 in I have 15 in strength, 1 in perception, 15 in endurance, 1 in charisma, 1 in intelligence, 15 in agility, and then 8 in luck to run Bloody Mess, Class Freak, and then Starch Genes to keep mutations.
Now, we're going to have a link for this in the show notes. So for anybody who's like, listening while you're driving your car and going, this is too much information too fast, you will be able to pull this up when you get home, open up your phone or your computer and just go look at the build yourself if you want to go recreate this.
Yeah.
One of the other things I thought is interesting that I've used when I've run a buddy build is Radical, and so that's actually it's a perk that's like a 1-star perk for your endurance. That's the greater your rads, the greater your strength, and so if you're all the way down in your rads, you get like a +5 strength. Yeah. So immediately you're able to carry. If you're using unyielding armor, you have all of your rads down. I mean, your carry amount is insane at that point.
There's the tool that I use is nukesdragons.com, so you can plan out your build. And what's great about this planner is that it's not only visual, but if you're starting over a new character, if you scroll down and click levels, it'll tell you what perks to pick at every level, so you can kind of scale perfectly. The other tool that's on there is also one for you to figure out what food you need to optimize your build. So there are certain foods that you can eat that can amplify these effects quite a bit. So on top of your bloody damage, you can do even more significantly higher damage.
So that's like a lot of alcohol drinks, right?
That, and then some of the foods. I think the highest I got mine was 1860.
So not only are you near death, but you're also drunk and really full all the time.
Yeah,
and highly
it basically
irradiated.
is a weekend in Vegas.
There you go.
So I would say that this is the most popular build. Why do you guys think that this is so popular? Is it just the damage output, or is it something else?
I think it's the damage output. I think it becomes kind of a competitive feather in people's caps. There are tons of videos on there with people talking about their builds, people sharing snapshots of how much damage they can do, quick video clips of them taking down a queen like with a few hits.
Yeah, this is the EP equivalent of Fallout 76.
Bloodied, if you run a bloodied stealth build, you can essentially be a queen killer because you're multiplying your damage output without being detected. So you can be ridiculously overpowered.
Yeah, amazing. Awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to add in?
There is a rumor that probably isn't true that Bloodied build could be nerfed with Wastelanders. It could be. So the next best meta thing that people have been doing, a lot of the people that I know who are in the know have been hoarding junkie weapons, which is the next best effective build. Some people are already starting to run characters with a junkies build.
So they're just really addicted to drugs, and because of all the drugs that they're taking, they're able to do a whole lot more damage. Is that what you're saying?
It's more like a weekend in Atlantic City than New Vegas, but
than it is in Vegas.
Yeah. Well, you get tired of all the alcohol. Maybe that's the gateway. Maybe alcohol's the gateway drug to everything else.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it's like, okay, like the bloodied build. If you were like in a fantasy setting, that's like your blood mage. Like, you draw all your power, your blood. But the junkies build sounds like an alchemy build where it's like I've got to craft like a bunch of psycho stats probably to get that.
You basically run a stepdad build.
Oh god.
Oh god. Oh man.
It's like the meth build.
I mean that's a West Virginia build that happens quite often.
We're gonna get hate mail.
Wow. Well,
it
would be cool in a future episode.
In Charleston.
It would be cool in a future episode to dig more into what the junkie build would be like and how to build one of those out, especially in the case of something like Wastelanders, potentially nerfing bloody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So might be cool to dig into in the future. All right. Well, thank you, Ken, for bringing that from out in the field again. With your, you can slink back into the shadows now with your coat and hat.
All right, Tom, you need to grab that shotgun right now because I think somebody's coming through.
Yeah, were you guys expecting guests? Hey, come on in.
Oh, look who it is.
Lucy, did we miss a turn?
I think we took a left turn when we maybe should have taken a right.
You guys know these guys?
Yeah, it's Ray and Lucy.
Oh,
hey.
Hey.
From the Fallout 5. Yeah.
Come on
Yes,
in.
we know you guys. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, great. So we found the spot that we weren't looking for.
Exactly.
I mean, that's kind of
There
how
we go.
things work in Fallout, right?
Right. That's right. That's right.
Well, come on in.
Wildly
Introduce
Well,
yourselves.
thanks for having us.
Yeah, introduce
Should we-
yourselves.
Yeah. I'm. Go ahead, my lovely wife. Go ahead.
All right, I'm Lucy Middleton, and I play various figures with the Fallout 5 new responders, such as Dr. Anders.
And I am Ray Middleton. I play Commander Connor Johns and all of our lore. I'm kind of the background player and lore developer for the 5.0.
Oh, you said lore. That's like my favorite word.
Yeah.
Tom just perked
Lore
up
is
with
fun.
Yeah, my ears just got a little
someone
bit
say
higher.
lore?
Yep. Well, welcome.
Lore is more.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Thank
grab
you.
a seat on our nice vintage sofa, and we just happen to be having a conversation with a few thousand of our favorite friends. And come on in. Yeah, have a seat. All right. So, can I get you a drink or anything? You guys have anything you enjoy partaking in?
Yeah, I definitely. Go ahead, Luz, if you want something.
I'll take a Nuka if you got that.
I've got a Nuka dark rum here that's basically regular rum in his plastic container. Would you like that?
That'll work.
I've got 20 dirty water. If anyone needs really dirty water.
I'll pass. Pass on the dirty
Oh,
water.
dang.
I'll pay extra caps for the purified if you got that.
Get some wood in here and we'll
try.
We'll fix that up.
We'll try.
Okay.
Dave's been trying to get rid of his dirty water for like weeks.
It's
This
hard.
canned coffee is coming out like glue.
You got to mix it with a little bit of the dog food.
Give me some of that dirty water.
It comes right out. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You guys work on that. All right. So this is our thing with guests. When people happen to stumble into our bunker, we first you got to pass the 20 questions in order to make sure you guys are cool enough to hang with us. I guess.
Right.
Think of it as your
that's our
personal
first.
goat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Yeah. Okay. That
Personal
makes
goat.
sense.
That's a good way to look at it. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go back and forth between the two of you. Lucy, you were introduced first, so I'm going to start with you. So it's going to be like a question for Lucy, question for Ray, question for Lucy, question for Ray.
Oh boy.
You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep.
Here we go.
Let's go.
Lucy, favorite martial art? Go. Don't think too hard. Just go.
Taekwondo.
Taekwondo. All right.
Yeah.
Ray, LA or New York?
New York, absolutely.
All right. Lucy, Sour Patch Kids or Swedish Fish?
Neither. I hate them both.
Oh, man. All right. Ray, scale of 1 to 10. How good are you at trivia?
1.
Lucy, Super Mario Brothers or Zelda?
Zelda.
Ray, if Tupac appeared before you right now, what's the first thing you would ask him?
Where's Biggie?
Good question. Lucy, what temperature do you like the thermostat at?
70.
All right, Ray, do you own a bicycle?
Do I own a bicycle? No, I do not actually.
Lucy, do you find handlebar mustaches to be handsome?
No.
All right, Ray, what is wind?
Wind is wow. You're getting complicated on me here.
10 seconds.
Okay, wind is
Phone a friend.
nature's breath. Nature's breath. Nature's breath.
Good answer. Good answer.
I like that.
Great answer.
I think we should do this like Family Feud and be like, good answer, good answer.
Yeah, please do.
That's what it
I want to
says.
hear the dings.
Yeah, regardless of how bad the answer is, the rest of the family just has to be like, good answer, good answer. All right, Lucy, what animal adds more joy to the world, squirrels or llamas?
Llamas. Have you seen their hairstyles?
You are absolutely correct. Ray, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you enjoy garlic?
I would have to say a 7, probably. Yep, 7 for
Okay.
sure.
All right, Lucy,
Yeah.
who inspires you?
Commander Connor Johns.
My students. Actually.
Students. All right,
That's a
cool.
good call. Yeah.
Ray, if you could
Very
push a
PC.
button and make everyone in the world 7% happier, but it would also place a worldwide ban on all hairstyling products, would you push it?
Considering I have no hair, I definitely would push it. Definitely would push it.
Well,
Good
there goes
answer.
my career.
Sorry, Ken.
Thanks, Ray.
You're welcome.
Lucy, if there was a hair in your soup at a restaurant, would you return it? The soup, not the hair.
Yes. Oh, so much yes.
Oh, you have no idea how true that is.
Would you return the hair?
It's a package deal. It's an all or nothing.
Package deal. All right, Ray. What's the most boring thing ever?
Dry spaghetti noodles.
Lucy, tell me, what do you like to do on weekends in a Valley Girl voice?
I like to sleep in, and then maybe just look at myself in the mirror and kind of contemplate today am I fabulous, or is my today just kind of subpar, and I need to go and get that fixed.
Very good, very good. All right, 3 left. Ray,
that was way too easy
what size
to
bed
do.
do you prefer?
King. Gotta have a king.
All right, Lucy, your last question.
Mm-hmm.
What's your middle name?
Elizabeth.
And Ray, how do you feel about cranberries?
Cranberries, wow. Cranberries, they're tart, they're sweet, and they are perfect on meat.
That rhymed, and that was a wonderful conclusion to our 20 questions.
Thank you.
Congratulations, you guys passed the goat.
Wow, that was scary.
Ooh,
All right,
it's a
thank you.
little alarming there.
All right,
Yep.
And it turns out that Ray, you are perfectly predisposed to be a middle school volleyball coach. And boy.
Oh boy.
And Lucy, you are going to be a fireman, person.
How fitting.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Coach.
Perfect.
So,
that's good. So.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us. You know what? Let's start this out. I would love to hear a little bit more about what exactly Fallout 5.0 is. Let's just start there, because I know some of our audience might not be aware of what you guys are doing.
Right.
And
Surprisingly enough.
So in order to explain this concisely, because otherwise this show could go on forever, because I'm sure the 5 of us could chat for 3 hours.
Right.
If you could sum up Fallout 5.0 in a tweet, what would it be?
I would say we are content creators that use game mechanics from Fallout 76 and in-game roleplay as a community to create stories. And through those stories, we develop lore videos which drive the narrative of the overall community. So we have a story arc, and our community members roleplay that during their gameplay, and then any interesting gameplay that we find, we use that as the driver to move our storylines forward.
Gotcha. So what exactly is the Fallout 5.0 then?
The original idea behind it was basically a joke. We found the responder uniforms kind of right after we left the vault and finished that quest, and there was about 5 of us at the time, and we put the uniforms on, and we just said we're a bunch of cops, let's go ahead and take some pictures. And then I happened to be listening to something on the radio, and I heard the Hawaii 5.0 theme song come on, and I just kind of laughed and said, look, we're the Fallout 5.0, and that's the initial start in terms of the name of it.
That's great.
But so the 5.0 being that we are the police, we've the Fallout is more of an identify. The 5.0 new responders is really what we tag ourselves as.
Right. I love the pictures on. I've been on your Facebook page, and you've got the pictures of everybody lined up in their cop outfits.
Yeah, we
glasses on and stuff.
But yeah, the outfits just provide a visual uniformity that looks really good when everybody's in the game at the same time. So that's kind of why we chose that route.
Yeah, this reminds me of a time back when the game Rust was very new, and my friends and I would play, and we would run around trying to police the. There was kind of a wasteland in there too, but we'd roll up on people and ask them if they had the right licenses and things for the proper stuff. And of course they'd shoot us in the face, but
knowing Rust, you got to do that. Take that. Yeah, it's don't let me monopolize the convo, Lucy, but that was our original intent. I think before we understood what the PvP mechanics were of the game, and approaching it more from a role-playing standpoint, we thought that would be a great idea, and we did start off that way. And in fact, we're very militaristic in the sense of trying to combat griefers and all the things that were initially happening in the game. until we fully understood what we feel, and this may rattle some chains, but is a broken PvP system. And I could go into details of, and we'll save that if you have any questions.
Yeah.
But,
I think what you're referring to is kind of well understood by the community.
Right.
So our shift became role playing strictly at that point. Once we kind of steered away from that original concept, and it became a situation where we were in game. I would say 90% of the time in character, responding to events or situations or quests, all in character. And then those moments we started to capture and develop storylines, quest ideas, storylines, plots for our community, our 5.0 community, like the Trial of the Warlord, where a series of events would dictate the actual path of the lore for the 5.0. And so it became less and eventually gone away, this concept of using the Wasteland to let's create stories and lore and essentially choose your own adventures based off of the outcomes of events for our community. And then now it's okay, but let's go even bigger and take it to the larger community. And so when people see us in game, we're all in character. And sometimes it's really well received, and sometimes it really confuses people, and you can have really amusing results. And it has really been an interesting kind of social experiment too, to see how people react. And it's interesting when you have people who aren't RPing to come across us, and as we role play and do our characters and say our things, they start to actually fall in with us and do it as well. It's just really interesting.
We find out. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say that's a lot of fun. Some of us have similar experiences in our own ways, but not so much with a big group like you guys have built out. I know when I was playing and streaming a little bit, I created a character named Derek, who was generally very naive and trusting of people, and people didn't know what to do with that.
Yeah, we've kind of found, interestingly enough, there's just adults that we encounter that really love the idea of role-playing the character they've created. I think the funny thing is coming across people that have never done it before, and hearing them kind of morph into their character, and they start to change their voice a little bit or their mannerisms, and that whole adaptation process is really neat to watch, and I think gives particularly adults that play the game a way to creatively outlet, in ways they probably wouldn't normally do, and that's something I've found personally with the game.
So have you found like any outlandish responses to some of your interactions within the game when you're in character? Because I would imagine that there would be some responses that don't necessarily get it and aren't with it and have something weird to say.
Oh yeah, you want to give an example, Luce, and then I'll give one that I.
I think for me, some of the most memorable ones are when we're doing an event, like an RP event, and somebody will kind of roll up onto us and like, what's going on? Because there'll be like 10, 15 of us standing around doing things, and we're all doing it in character. And in particular, when we were doing the funeral for one of our characters, she perma her character through a series of choices, and we had people watching us do the funeral. It was kind of weird. I could see them in the distance, and they were just standing there. And we're giving these eulogies and speeches, and we're all standing in uniform, and then we do like the 21 nun salute. And they're just kind of in the background watching it. But what was crazy is they waited until we were done, and then they launched an orbital strike. So,
right. It was funny because we had people write in on our YouTube that I was there, we were there, and things like that. And it was kind of cool just to see. That's probably one of the positive, reactions. I'll just point out a couple of negatives because there's definitely a lot of negatives. You got to understand, we play cops in essence, and so right away you already have that connotation, whether you are pro cop or not.
Pig. Yeah.
I would say the first few months was when there was a lot of cop stuff going on in the news. And so people, were anti-cop. And so we would roll up and it would immediately start. And I can remember being at Fight Club, not Fight Club people that run the Fight Club, but being there, and we would roll up, 4 or 5 people just because of the server size. And, you're cops in a Fight Club, and it just was asking for problems. So, yeah, it's definitely was negative, but it's become a more positive thing, I think, as, people recognize. But probably one of the funnier ones was we rolled up on a wanted character. And one of the things that we do is we relieve wanteds of their bounties. And we relieve them, and we stand over their bag, and we allow them to come back, and we protect it, and they can take their stuff, and we get rid of their bounty for them. And we show up on one guy, and he's got a whole base built out and guns and turrets, and we roll up fully in character, and we're frog hopping from tree to tree and giving cover and talking the whole way.
Trying to be sneaky talking.
Relatively speaking. But we get up there where his location is. He's obviously popped a stealth boy at that point. And we're saying, we all gather around. We're like, okay, well, where did he go? And he says, I'm right behind you. And we're like, holy yeah. So, we turn around and there he is at 4. He didn't come at us, but it was just kind of funny to watch him, kind of role play it back in that sense. But yeah, I would say overall, generally speaking, the first few months it was pretty negative, but it's been positive. It's been positive overall.
I remember when I first started playing Halo on the PC, there was a cops and robbers mode, and I didn't know what that was. And turns out it was a community of people that designated the blue team was the cops and the red team was the robbers.
Right.
And then they don't kill you; they just escort you to jail. And that's an understood rule, and I didn't understand that, and I had to learn pretty quick that it's then everyone gets met, the robbers and the cops. They're like, hey dude, come on.
Follow the rules.
Yeah, you walk into rules you don't even know about, right? Exactly. Yeah.
So let's get into some of your background. I'd love to hear how long you guys have been Fallout. When did you start? What games did you start with?
Luce, go ahead.
I started with 3. I did not play 1 and 2. I knew about them, but I did not play them.
Yeah, I started with 2. I guess that was 98, towards the end of college. Yeah, so I started there.
Okay, yeah, you and I are very similar in age.
Yeah. So I just dated myself a little bit, but yeah, that to me was just I love apocalyptic, atomic, everything destruction wasteland, and that was just such a great experience. That's the bug hit me then.
I loved 3. I loved it that it was in our backyard, and just the story that was in there, and it was so different than other games that I had played. I had never really played a post-apocalyptic sort of game of an RPG sort, and it was just different and fun.
Yeah, I think you play it more when it's about your backyard. I understand that completely.
Yeah.
Well, for our listeners, explain what is your backyard? Where do
we live? We live right outside of DC, so all those places in Bree were like, hey, we've been there, and we're 45 minutes from Bethesda. And,
yeah, it's I said, great. Yeah, Arlington Cemetery. The Falls Church Metro Station that was in 3. I was, wow. That's literally. And it was very similar in location. So yeah, that to me really spoke, from a locational game, where it was you really could identify certain landmarks. Everything's changed a little bit, but to do that in a game, I don't know that I had ever really seen that happen up at that point where you could visit a location and actually relate to it. So yeah, that really was the bug that caught me.
That's like me with Fallout 4 in the Boston area. I'm like, it's Faneuil Hall.
Right, yeah. I always think of that.
With 76.
Yeah, from the Charleston, West Virginia perspective.
Man, I'm the only one who's
in my neighborhood.
They need to do a Fallout Florida.
You need to go to Vegas more, Tom. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, there you go.
Vegas. Oh, God.
That's where we all meet then, Vegas. Let's go to Vegas. Yeah.
Top of the stratosphere looking for Mr. House.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite side quests is the Vegas. I love the Nothing But a Hound Dog quest. On the side with Elvis, so it's great.
So the original Fallout games, all the way up to before 76, are all single player, of course. 76 is a multiplayer. It verges on the edge of MMO. Do you guys have any MMO experience?
I'll definitely defer to Lucy on that one.
Yes, yeah. So I think it goes all the way back to EverQuest.
Oh wow!
Yeah. And then so I played through that and various other ones. I ran a guild, RP guild on Midgard, and not Alliance Horde, for World of Warcraft for quite some time. But yeah, so the MMO aspect would be definitely on me.
Now, did you guys play MMOs together at all, or Ray, did you not play MMOs, or did you play other games together? Like, what is your?
Yeah, I had not engaged. I love the idea of them. The whole idea of the community and this, the grinding and just kind of really getting the gear. But whenever I sit down to play them, I honestly I fall asleep. I don't know what it is about it. That changed though when I started getting involved in a communal kind of MMO, which is what I consider 76 at this point. But yeah, no, I wasn't an MMO player. I was more like a Dark Souls. That was my love and passion for quite a while. Yeah. So and
we also played a lot of together. We played a lot of first-person shooters, like the various iterations of Battlefield. We were in that together. For quite
you guys sound a lot like me and my wife. She got real big into World of Warcraft, and I always dabbled in it a little bit. And then, we would play games like Battlefield together and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's definitely us. Destiny, Battlefield.
Destiny.
Yeah, and we had a small little core group of college friends that we still played with, those first-person shooters kind of things. But our first kind of group or together guild experience was and Battlefield. Actually, we created a group called the OTD, the Older Than Dirt, and it's
a great name.
Yeah, I don't even know that it started off Older Than Dirt. We just needed something to put in with OTD. I don't know why it even was OTD, but that was the first time we created a website-based community where we tried to do an interactive. Not only do you play the game in the game itself, but you can also kind of engage the game from the outside, and that was, for me, the aha moment when it came to community building. Was doing that.
Yeah, so you've got the community building, you've got the playing games together, you got the Fallout. Where did the role playing come in? Was that a 76 only thing, or were you guys doing role playing in other games a little bit before that?
Yeah,
I would role play it. Yeah, I would role play in all of my in EverQuest and World of Warcraft, and then I would do it actually through the text-based RP, either through fan writing or through I don't remember the name of it, but it was on AOL. It was a text-based. It's like Dragon something or other. I don't even remember. But so so I've been doing it ever since I could
let me give you an example. She stunts herself. We're at the beach. She played a priestess or someone that could marry folks on World of Warcraft. We literally had to come off of the beach so that she could perform a marriage. So if that gives you any kind of idea of her RP passion, that's it right there. We all kind of looked at her dumbfounded, like, you got to go because you got to marry people in a game, so.
You charge for that service though, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, right. I was like, that was me. I was like, is that a chargeable thing? Can we do that? No.
I made like $500,000 gold in just like 30 minutes. Come on.
Right. Yeah, for me, it was never, the most I would role play is, I would create a character and I would just kind of play the game solo, like Dark Souls. I would say, okay, this is He-Man, or this is my Skeletor build, and then but never like we do now, where we're actually rolling up in character and I'm changing my voice, and for me it was never like that. So she's definitely the RPer and the experienced one when it comes to that.
Nice. So when it comes to creating your content and setting up situations and doing that kind of thing, is there like pre-planning? Is there like a writing process? Are you drawing inspiration from places? How does that work?
Yeah. I would have to say I want to say it's some amazing, pre-thought out technical thing, but I think one of the things we've tried to do is unscript everything that we do and use the game and the events that are happening in the game to drive the story. So it's a lot easier to write the story that we have going once I've seen it happening than it is to say, okay, we need to make this happen. So
you kind of improv it first.
Yeah, it's almost like we create kind of a skeleton situation and then we say, okay, let's color it in with what we're doing in the game. So our most notable example is the Trial of the Warlord. And
yes.
So basically I went into the social media and I just advertised, and we made a little quirky, I will have to say that the Chad podcast gave me the inspiration to do this kind of, Wastelanders, we're in search of a raider group. We did this whole little voice.
Man of a thousand voices.
Yeah, I had a little 1950s TV program in the background. So we advertised for a raider group. We just said we need a raider group that role play, and if you're that group, then we want to work with you. We don't want griefers. We want people that really own the role of raiders. And so once we had them in play, that was the Vultures Raider Gang. We said, okay, well, now what do we do? And so we knew we need to have the antagonist. We had the antagonist, and then we said, let's just have a fight. And so we had Battle of the Big Bend, which is one of our videos. And the outcome of that video, we filmed it, and it was all, kind of really, really chaotic. But we did get footage, streamed the footage. And the ending of the event, we had beaten the Raider Gang. We had set criteria, so we knew who won or lost. It wasn't just a constant battle back and forth. But anyway, long story short, the result of that battle gave us the fuel to write how we got to that point. So, we said, okay, well, we went in, we used the mechanics of the game. If you walk through Big Bend, you can see dead responders everywhere. So we said, okay, so the Raiders showed up here, they killed the responders. We're looking for Modus, where we came to Big Bend to find Modus, but we see all of our dead responders, so we need to respond. And next thing you know, we're having a battle in there, and then the end result dictates the story from that point moving
really
forward.
Cool.
So,
and that's how a lot of it goes, actually. The whole concept of whatever happens in the game then gets
drives the narrative.
Full treatment of narrative, when we're starting to write the Lord of War. And so that's what it really is, unscripted. The fights are, we don't know who's going to win. The RP situations, we don't know how other people are going to react. Like the whole situation with one of our members deciding to, in a serious moment, allow her character to be killed. I mean, but now it's driven a whole other aspect of the community and the lore for the 5.0, and they're reacting to it. And it's just been really interesting, like I said, to have that unscripted fallout from what happens next.
Right. I did a role play before with Metal Gear, with the last game that they have, and I played I led the group of essentially the bad guys, and so that was really fun, like amping up that language and being on forums and going back and forth between the groups. And I found that the best parts were when it wasn't scripted, like the outcome wasn't scripted, but just setting up the initial scenario. Right. Yeah, everyone involved is great.
Yeah, it's it takes the game to a level that you're not even playing the game anymore. Literally, just it's what is that movie? Player One or whatever, where they just that's what it feels like. I mean, I log into that world and I have no agenda. I just walk in and I just start talking to people, and next thing you know, we're like, wow, this needs to be on film, or this needs to be part of our narrative. The game just pretty much gives you all these tools, and from notes and letters and the RAL equation, which we're working on right now. The entire story developed just from finding random notes in the game and tying together all of the pieces. So, and it has nothing to do with what the notes were about, but we use the names, we create story based upon that. We know we have Modus in the world. So yeah, the Fallout 76 in particular really just drops you in and says, make
tell
something.
A story. Yeah.
Tell a story. And that's kind of what we felt. So
yeah, I love the idea of building something from the established. So you're kind of doing this on two levels. You're taking a game that they created and building something on top of the game. But from a story aspect, you're taking the foundation. And I like the analogy you have of like taking the lines and then filling in, almost like a paint by number kind of thing. Like the outlines are there, and you guys are using that as an opportunity to fill in your own story within the kinds of framework and story that already exist in the game.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the more you know about Fallout 2, you can start to marry in the other games. So, there's no synth in the world right now, but we are working on, the precursor to the synth. I mean, 200 years before they're introduced, we already have quest lines now that we're developing that are kind of like the formula. This is how we got to the synth, portion of the game, even though it may have no, logical connection at the end. It still is interesting just to play around with what ifs, and West Tech and all these organizations, if you dig deeper and create the narrative that they were working on things before the bombs fell. You have the opening of Fallout 4 where they're obviously running experiments with the vault. So just this whole sinister subset that you really never get any true understanding of what they're doing, but it's great fuel for stories, Yeah, so.
And you mentioned stories. So you guys have, I guess you've created the first player scripted quest that
as far as
anyone can do. Explain to our audience what that's all about.
Yeah, so basically going back to our philosophy of wanting to, and this goes back to my talk about Battlefield, wanting to bring the game out of the game so that people, with a lot, we all have passion for the Fallout universe, was to create something that would allow players to engage the game from the outside as well as play it on the inside. And so if I had to quickly summarize what our player quest is, it is basically a choose your own adventure D&D quest where you have to play the game and make it to certain points in the game in order to unlock more of the lore videos. So, we start off with one lore video that sets up the quest, and then in order to unlock the next video, you have to get into the game under certain criteria, finish that portion, enter what you find at the end of the little quest into the website, and it unlocks the next quest video.
Oh man, that's awesome.
So you're basically
it's so well done.
It's like a storybook where you're unlocking the pages, and but in order to unlock the pages, you do have to play the game. So you can't just click buttons and watch the videos. You have to go into the game and quest, and we usually do it with non-legendary weapons and armor, so that it actually you struggle. You have to go through this game without all that advanced equipment, and it brings back the need to create, build equipment, upgrade your armor. So we wanted basically the nuclear winter feel, but in a world where we could go anywhere. So nuclear winter, you're limited to certain maps or whatever. But with our quests, you get rid of all your grindable legendary loot, and you just go through it naked and afraid, basically. And whatever you find, you use, and whatever you can upgrade with your plans, you have to use all those skills again, which I think as you get higher level, you just kind of rely on all the drops and the legendary gear to get you through. But try, fight a scorch beast with a standard hand lever action, and you're burning through ammo. You need help. You need friends, Lucy can speak. She actually has played the quest. I kind of developed the quest. She's played it, and it's become a multiplayer kind of experience. I'll let you talk about that for a second, Luz.
Yeah. So I play two different actual characters in the 5.0, and I've run the quest with my fire breather character Grace, and I've done it in character with a couple different groups and of other 5.0 people, and some people decided to tag along. And it's really interesting because you have to walk everywhere. And so how do you fill the time walking, from the top of the map to the bottom of the map kind of a deal? Well, you start to ask questions about each other. You start to get to know each other. So in one way, it helps to promote that kind of thought process behind what is the story behind your character, and why are they here? Where do they come from? What stories do they bring? But also, you have to talk strategy. We get to a Fisher site, and we're like, it's just the two of us this time. And I think I'm just going to walk around that. And so, trying to figure out how to avoid certain situations, because the path that, you take is important. If you happen to choose the wrong path to get from point A to point B, it's a world of hurt. And also what's interesting is when you unlock those lore videos, as you're watching them, there are dialogue options that you can actually click, and it gives you a different video depending on what you click. So when I enter a code and the person that's going with me are entering a code and we're watching the videos separately, we might not be seeing the same thing exactly. And so when we finish watching the lore videos, we come back, we're both coming back with pieces of information that the other one might not have. And like, well,
that's awesome.
I learned this, and so it's kind of a neat feature. Ray undersells himself in this regard. His storyboarding when he's creating these is lots of color coding, and it really does look like choose your own adventure and trying to keep track of what video leads to what video, which leads to this next video. But it's a lot of fun, and you can do it by yourself. And we've had people in the community run it by themselves, and it's interesting. They report back in kind of an in-character fashion, almost like a journaling aspect, which was really cool to see, because that's not something anybody's done before. And other times they run it with somebody else or a group of people, and they're just like, oh, we just told stories and just kind of chatted about, the world around us as we walked from this point to this point,
Yeah, we wanted to create something that made people, not made, but, encourage people to really role play when they were together as a group. But then if they weren't, that gave them the opportunity to kind of experience the game exactly the same way, So one of the locales is Beckwith Farm, and people may not even know what Beckwith Farm is, but we try to take people to areas that are really mundane and obscure and then create something out of that location to give them a story, So
there are so many fascinating unmarked locations that still to this day I'll just stumble upon something I never noticed before, which if you fast travel around and you focus on kind of the marked locations, you miss a lot of really cool places.
Oh that was something that for this game really you hit the nail on the head there, Ken, is that once you get to fast travel, you lose the immersiveness, I think. I mean, we call it taking the train.
And we try to avoid it.
Try to avoid it.
But in a pinch, we're like, we're getting on the train.
I think it worked well when it was originally in that survival mode where you could only travel to train stations.
Right. That was a good point. Yep. Yeah. So to touch on the dialogue, the dialogue options now, we've been opening up. The first phase of this RAL equation quest is mostly just a singular driven narrative. But as you work through the quest, it's almost like our version of DLC, or we're adding another chapter to the story. And that's where we decided to open up dialogue options. And so we literally have dialogue options now that will take players away from other players, and they will never experience the same thing unless they go back through the quest and choose the other options. So those videos will not unlock unless they have the proper code, and if they choose one dialogue option, it won't go back. So it kind of gives you a multiple playthrough effect as well.
This is a very much what you've created is kind of a multiplayer choose your adventure meta game on top of a game kind of thing.
That's what it feels like, because it's like a spider web. Yeah.
Do you guys remember way back in the day they used to have the VHS parties like Clue?
Yes.
It's kind of like that in a video game format where you're kind of playing through, and then there's like a tie-in to an entertainment medium.
Like fast forward to minute 10 and then you watch this is what you get. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's I grew up in the age of choose your own adventure books, flip to page 10, and that was kind of the initial idea behind it, was how can we make something that requires people to do something a little different. And
I would always cheat on those. I would try to find the and then I would
the story backwards. That's why we made it so you can't go back now.
Well, that was the hardest mechanic to overcome. You know, how do we make sure that people get to point A to point B and do the things that are required? And so there is some interaction involved to send pictures to HQ. Mm-hmm. So, so we are HQ, either via Facebook or Twitter, and they send us a private DM. They have to take their picture in front of a certain object or to let us know that they're progressing,
Oh, so so you guys manually respond to them. This isn't even automated. It's not like read the third word on the letter you find at the end of the quest. And
some are like that. I mean, I would say the majority is like that, but we also have these moments where we want to engage the people while they are questing as the 5-0. So, they'll take their picture and they'll send it, and they'll get a message that says, we're now processing your we're processing your evidence. Please wait for confirmation. And if I happen to be asleep that night, then they won't get confirmation for 24 hours or whatever the case may be.
For a very long time, my friend.
Right. So
we're like 4 hours.
There's multiple admin that can send it out earlier, but literally we want like people to. They don't all of a sudden they have to come to a stop, and it's like, well, what do I do with this downtime? For instance, do I continue on? Do I repair my equipment or whatever the case may be? But we wanted it to be that immersive and interactive, and so that you're not just going off and never really experiencing people, but occasionally you touch base with HQ, and we have some big ideas that I'm starting to launch them a little bit right now. We just did our first requisition request where we're actually going to give little mini quests. We call them weeklies that people no worries. I know it chokes me up too.
I was taking a drink.
No worries.
And then I breathed it.
That dirty water.
The paddles of water.
Mr. Handy.
Oh man.
That's
that
funny.
dirty water I had.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, never drink the dirty water. You're right.
Oh man, you guys ever do that? You're like taking a drink and then all of a sudden it like goes down your throat and you're like, oh god.
Chewing the can of coffee.
Right. Yeah.
Go on.
So anyway, I could go forever, but anyway, so now we have these weeklies that we're starting to develop, which are much quicker little interactive videos that will have people going out and running volunteer. The volunteers were people that helped the responders that weren't actual responders. So we know the greater community now, not just the 5-0, but people can click on our weeklies on our website and they get their little video and they get the information they need and what we need, and then they bring it back to us. They get a reward. And what we do is we drop the HQ or the 5-0 HQ into the game world, and then they can come in and turn in their quest to live people. But everybody that's going to be there is going to be an NPC character. And depending on who you talk to, you might get a code to the website that will allow you to unlock another quest. So if you're not running the weeklies or you're not turning in or talking to the right person, you might miss out on a quest. So the idea is, to start engaging the community as well in real life and not just through videos.
Wow, so, that's a big commitment.
It is. I think I'm self-employed, so it helps me to be able to I have a lot of extra time here and there when needed. I also have we have 3 kids, and but what I have found from it is a legitimate passion for this video making and lore creation that I think I've had since I was a kid. What kid didn't want to make video games, but never really had the opportunity. So this is kind of an outlet personally for me that it actually is a stress reliever. It's something I love to do in my free time, and I would do it even if there was nobody responding to it. It's just fun,
Yeah, that's awesome. The businessman in me is like, well, have you considered charging for it? But I have a feeling that might kill the some of the fun you're having with it.
Yeah, I don't think that'll ever. Yeah, that's nothing. It's never crossed. It's never crossed my mind. One, I just don't think licensing wise we could get away with that. You'd be like, hey guys, sign up for the service. We'll use the Bethesda software to create and make some. But no, I think it's just fun. When you get to be in your 40s and you have 3 kids and your friendship base is still there, but you don't interact, and you have this online community, and it just gives you gives you something to do, and it's fun. And if I ever grow tired of it, I'll just
for me,
turn it off. Yeah.
The writing has been, because I do a lot of the detail detail story writing that you'll see on the Facebook or elsewhere. And so for me, it's been just a great way to tap into the side of me. I mean, I feel like I'm probably a writer at heart. Even though it's not my profession, technically.
Are you kidding me?
What?
Lucy is being overly humble here, and I'm going to phrase this for a minute. She is a remarkable writer, and if you follow the group, or even in some of the Fallout Role Players group on Facebook, she'll share her stories in there, and they're really well-written, fantastic reads with compelling characters and a really well-written narrative that keeps you reading. So,
thank you. Yeah, that's. She is. The Skull tells a story where somebody sends me just a picture, any picture in game, with as much or as little context behind the picture, and then the challenge is to write like a little story that is captured by that picture. So I do that, and then I do a lot of the detailed, like I said, detailed lore writing events that happen. Like right now, there's an ongoing one that I co-wrote with the player of the World of the Vultures. And it's just an interaction between our two characters, because you can't really do some of this stuff in game. 1, time zones. 2, we just don't have kind of that level of time to commit to sort of detail work. And so for me, writing these stories or these interactions or just chapters, writing the chapters of the Fallout 5.0 and kind of our lore stories as they pertain to everybody else, for me has been just a kind of a great catharsis in terms of creativity and stress relief, and I enjoy it. I love to write. I love to tell stories. I mean, that's why my nickname is the Scald. I love stories, and while he does a lot of the cinema work and a lot of the kind of the big overarching picture work, it's usually I'll come in behind him and I'm like, okay, now I'm going to write this one moment during that big picture, and I'm going to explode that moment and turn it into this little mini story that, if nobody reads it, but whatever, I've done it. It's kind of one of those. I've done it. I felt really good about it, and for me, I think that's been a real benefit just on a personal level.
Yeah, I'll say for Lucy as well. She is the heart of the RP aspect, the end game RP aspect of the 5.0. She literally is like the nucleus, and all of the players, come to her, and she really does inspire people to let themselves go a little bit and kind of, interact at a level that's not, adult all the time and, structured. And yeah, so that was something, that just came on in the last 6-7 months. That RP side in the game, which I think without that, we would not have garnered as much of a following at this point, even that we have. Videos are one thing, but that wild, let yourself go in the game kind of thing. Yeah, she really has propelled. And those stories, the stories on the Facebook, I mean, if you even look at the metrics, when she posts a story, that bar is across the screen. And, so without those, I think, you lose some of the texture of the community, depth of it.
That stuff is really cool. We have a group of people on our Discord who are very into fan fiction, and some writers themselves who are sorry, my throat is still weird. So, who are very much into that stuff. But I would recommend definitely share your links, share any of the stories that you've been writing, any of that stuff on there, because I know there's a number of people on there that will totally eat that stuff up.
Yeah, they definitely would.
All right, nice. I'll do that. I'll check into that. Works.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So
I want to comment that both Ray and Lucy on there's a private role playing group with some of the faction leaders that I'm a part of, and it's interesting because of all of the groups that operate kind of disparately in a role playing fashion. or just as a group independently. You get Dr. C.J. Martin, the Free States, the Vultures. Ray and Lucy are kind of a keystone of that community. And in a game that the story isn't as visible or easily digestible, I think what you guys have done to bring together a community, not just within your own group, but bringing different leaders together to create these storylines and don't resort to maybe the lowest common denominator where just everyone is fighting and griefing one another, but actually bringing people together to develop something positive is remarkable. So I think the two of you have been really pivotal in that.
Yeah, thanks. That's I think our mantra is strength through.
Strength through.
We lost you. Strength
through diplomacy.
Yeah.
It's kind of the idea that once we got done the initial phase of the game, we were defenders of Dr. C.J. Martin for quite a while, and just anyway, long story short, the idea that the constant fighting and infighting between groups just wasn't productive. It wasn't fun anymore. People were burning out, and the idea of bringing groups together, I think, is really what the responders' role was. I don't see the responders as policing the wasteland as much as trying to gather resources and bodies and people and get them moving in the same direction. But yeah, I agree with what Ken's saying. Not so much that we have done that, but I think there's something about telling stories that will motivate even the heinous Vultures Raider gang. They want to tell their stories too, and I think it gives permission to people to do that. I think
in a positive way, like it's
right.
And I think that's important to recognize. Having a mutually respectful relationship is paramount when doing any of this stuff. Otherwise, it just doesn't work.
And it's fascinating because everyone has a different background and a different opinion on what or how they would be in a survival situation, but that mutual respect is there. Even people who are legit role-playing as raiders, not wannabes who use hacked items and think they're a god of the wasteland. They actually role-play as a raider. They have a very particular way of looking at what survival would be like in a situation, and they're very committed to that and honest. If anything else, there's a level of honesty in terms of being true to how they would act that dictates their actions.
So there's like a private chat that a bunch of the role players are on that they kind of collaborate with. Is that what you're coming with?
Yeah. Did you want to say anything, Ken, just before I?
Yeah, that is. I just got invited into it. I lurk in the shadows.
I think it's funny that now we're learning about the secret Appalachian cabal that is there.
Yeah, there's definitely there's a belly to the whole. Yeah, no, I
have to take my cyanide pill now.
I know. Way to go, Ken.
Yeah.
What happens in roleplay chat stays in roleplay chat.
Stays in roleplay chats, right? I think it was initially just a very just a quick way. Not everybody is comfortable joining another player's Discord, so they're either had bad experiences with people in their own or whatever. So we just we needed a quick way to interact, especially if we were going to coordinate filming a video or something along those lines. But it's turned into an interesting Discord in and of itself. It's we talk RP and we talk everything.
We talk stories. We talk about just
right.
In the game.
Ken and I are biting our tongues. Yeah.
No, just saying. It's really
here. I know.
About,
what I will say, beyond beyond the game itself, one of the things that's been interesting in this game, and that even translates into that chat, is people from all different backgrounds all over the world connect in a way that we don't always do in real life.
Right.
And, people talk in there, they talk about what's going on in their lives, they vent.
Yep.
A lot of the people in the group shared some stuff that was really personal, and it's just, and that's not just that group, even in the Discord communities that I've run or groups that I've ran in, it's very much like that, where there's just a level of connection in this game that I haven't experienced in any others.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I would agree.
Yeah, I'm a pretty private person overall, but yeah, when you drag something, you definitely, there's a comfort level there that I have not experienced with any other game. You're right. I mean, this is a very interesting community. So,
hold on, is my mute? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. For some reason, it shows that I'm muted even though I'm not.
Yeah, mine's acting weird sometimes too.
Yeah, weird. So, when it comes to building the community and bringing more people into this group, do you guys have like could you boil it down to some advice for anybody else who would be interested in doing something similar? Like, what's the key to creating a good group of people and bringing people together?
I'll say mine, Luce. You say yours. I have a very simple phrase that keeps me grounded when one part of me wants just to brag about the massive, we have, 5,000 players, whatever the case may be. I always come back to quality over quantity.
Yes.
This community dies if we flood it with just anybody. We need committed RP players or people that are committed to living kind of this little fun little alternate life. We can't have a lot of people in our community and make it what it is. So, I have always joked around with the idea that I want no more than 76 people actually in the community. One to honor.
Why 76?
Well, it's kind of a, yeah. I was like,
a good round number.
Yeah,
Not 75. Odd number to choose.
Not so much here, but right
The cabal voted on it.
Right. For what we do, it's never about the numbers. We're not out in the wasteland anymore, needing to flood a server of fighters and just endlessly PvPing or,
we can flood a server.
Oh yeah. I mean, we can still do that if necessary. But fortunately, they cap the servers at 24, whatever it is now, 26. But quality over quantity for me. That's where I stay. So loose.
So I do a lot of the in-game interviews. People who decide they want to investigate and see if they want to be a part of this. And so part of that, becoming a cadet with us, is first agreeing to meet in game with myself and a couple other responders, and it's done completely out of character so that I can spend some time talking to them about kind of what it really means to be a part of this group. That this is the qualified vote, and the line that I always say is, you're going to get out of this. It's related to how much you put into it. If you don't do anything, if you're not involved in any events, if you don't RP, if you don't even just do the most basic things of the weekly requisitions, don't kind of give back out to the community, then really you're just a body. You're just a name on a screen, and there's no connection. And if that's not something that somebody is interested in, if they're not interested in kind of those other aspects, why are we having this conversation? So it needs to. So I try to kind of really instill this idea that it's a community. It's a group that does things together. Sometimes we're just running events together, and sometimes we're running these events in the larger community. And you have to kind of have a level of comfort in interacting with other people. Even our kind of our recon unit, the ones that typically go out and do things alone, they're very good at still coming back together and interacting and RPing their aspects of that individuality and that kind of lone wolfing. And so just spending time and talking to them also it helps me in general kind of to really reiterate that if you're trying to join a group like this, an RP group that's dedicated in this sort of fashion, just to kind of ride a wave, it's not going to be enjoyable. Why would you want to commit to something like that? And so for people who want to create this kind of a community, it's also really important to foster a sense of how other members can participate. Ray and I aren't the only people who create in-game events and quests. we strongly encourage all of our members, whether they're a cadet or an officer, to create events. And we have individuals in the community who are regular event creators, and we promote those, and we're like, go do this. And we just actually had those survival events. We dropped you in the mire, naked and afraid. You had to get from the mire down to Camp Venture with only what you could find along the way. And did you survive? And you were graded. We had somebody kind of watching, following along, almost like a boot camp instructor, following along, paying attention to tactics, communication, all these different things. And it's that was not designed by Ray or myself. That was, and I think that's really important, because when members have a stake in it, then they're committed to it, and that's really what's important. You can't buy into something unless you have some investment in it. And so kind of honoring and kind of really promoting that concept of, like, it's not just him and I, it's not just their officer, it's like, this is everybody together. We are, we have this, we're agreeing to kind of play this lore out, and we want you guys to tell your stories too. It's not just about us, creating the only stories. Everybody has a stake in it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is we, content creators, that's who we need in our community.
Yeah.
Warriors, we need content creators or relationships with them. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So let's pull out our crystal balls.
Mm-hmm.
I know you brought them with you.
Absolutely.
I saw them bulging in your pockets when you walked
they're in my
Is it that obvious?
backpack. Well, it's in my backpack with like 200 pounds of junk that I should be carrying around.
That's right.
So let's get out our crystal balls and kind of, I don't know, hit the buttons, I don't know how you power them. They're probably fusion powered or something.
Probably.
Yeah, so I hear them whirring up right now. Okay. And looking into them and the things that Wastelanders is going to bring, and the future of what's going on with your current stories and the things that you've been working on, where do you see things going? Is Wastelanders going to change it up any? Like, what's the future for your group?
From my standpoint as a overarching story lore creator for the community, I think it's going to add just an amazing amount of possible story and content to what we're doing, particularly. The more stories that are involved, the more side roads that you can travel, and the more things you can do and investigate. I mean, we obviously don't know for sure what these NPCs are going to bring, how detailed it's going to be. But I can't see. I know there are a few other community members that I know of that are NPCs or things like that, and they are scared to death of it. But I don't see how more content doesn't generate more content.
Like it's going to take their jobs.
In a way, I think
they took
that's
our
and what I keep trying. Yeah, they took our job.
That NPC is a better NPC than I am.
Yeah, what I think they just miss out on is the fact that their NPC, meaning the person, changes minute by minute. It's never the same NPC. The Bethesda NPC is going to, have a certain amount of things it's going to do, and then that's going to be it.
Right,
and,
it's scripted. You're a human being. You're not scripted.
Right. I do think for Bethesda, it is the last card they have to play to bring new members back. I think if it screws up, that's it. The people that play this game are the ones that play this game, and adding new folks that have never played it or that went away from it, after it first came out, I don't know that they will return, but I'm hopeful, that it's going to bring more people and that it'll bring more stories, and I see it as a windfall of possibility, honestly. So
cool.
Cool. Yeah.
All right, so I know we've kept you for a while.
No worries.
Let's close this up with if people are interested in what you're doing, and as a content creator, I don't know how people could not be interested in what you're doing, because it sounds freaking amazing. What can they do to either join your group or go on some of these adventures on their own? Like, where do they start?
Yeah, well, from the perspective of joining the Fallout 5.0.
Oh,
you got cut off. Try that again.
Your crystal ball was malfunctioning.
Yeah, my crystal. Yeah, I got to whirl those gerbils a little faster here. Okay. The quickest way is to go to our website, and that's fallout50.com. That
5 is written out.
The 5 is written out. So Fallout 50, all one word.com.
That was 0.
So Fallout FIVE 0.
Zero, right?
Yeah.
There you go. See, she's the brains of the gang. That's the quickest way to get every social link and to immediately learn about us, and also to engage a weekly quest. So right now, the weekly quest that is open can be done by anybody at any time, and it is active. So going to our website is the number one way to find all of our social links. Then joining our social, contact us. That would be if they're looking to get involved with itself, with just engaging us privately on Facebook or Twitter and our message system. And so,
Awesome.
but to just simply run quests, they can do it right now. Site. Click
Awesome.
on the
Right.
weekly.
The joining, going to that website, really,
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
direct contact.
Yeah.
For any kind of questions, that has the link to the Facebook group.
Yeah, I'll make sure we put a link to it in the show notes.
Yeah.
We're a page, not a group, which is conscientious choice. And they can contact us through there if there's interest in actually meeting with us in game, and then we would just handle that stuff on the messenger side of Facebook.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Well, Ray and Lucy, thank you for stumbling into our bunker.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having us. Not
Handy
like
has a
shooting us in the
prize
face.
package for you.
Yeah, where's the quest complete box? I don't see it.
I don't. Yeah.
Is this where we turn it in? All right.
I hope you
We'll
enjoyed
come
the
We'll lunch
Nuka-Cola
that
and the
in
dirty
Cuba.
water.
Right.
Quest
we'll just,
rewards.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Crest rewards. And now, if you don't mind, I'm going to pull out my quad explosive shotgun and rob you all. There we go. There we go.
The full spirit of 5-0.
I only have 2 bottle caps. Here you go.
There you go.
I have 2 pounds of salt. Fire away.
Very salty you are, Ken. I know. Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
We
Thank you for
appreciate
having
it.
us.
And cut. That was awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
You guys
Yeah,
were
we appreciate
great.
that. Oh, thank you. It's
Sorry,
the
my
first
cat
time.
decided to knock everything off the countertop.
Yeah, I
Now you
almost made
guys
a
can
joke
see
about
why
you
I'm such
dropping the
fans of
crystal
Ray and
ball,
Lucy.
but-
Jeez. No.
What was that, Ken?
Now you guys can see why I'm such fans of these two.
Yeah, I
it's,
guess they're okay. Yeah.
Oh,
no,
thank
we appreciate
you.
that. We're no, I have to say to Ken in particular, yeah, I've told him this before, not to blow smoke up the man, but yeah,
The common phrase. Blow smoke up, man.
Smoke up the man.
There you go. Watching him from the Appalachian Trading Company, I think that was the first time we got involved with him, and or with you, Ken, and that you had that one quest where you had the paper laid out and the monocle or whatever sitting there like it was on a desk, and the way you wrote that out, that I gotta say that was one of the triggers for me. Like, wow, this is what people can do in this game, and so I definitely give you a little credit for that, for sure.
Well, thank you.
And what you're doing, yeah. So, all right.
Well,
Thanks for having us, guys. Yep.
Yeah,
thank
and
you for having
don't be
us.
strangers. Feel free to pop in this Discord and say hi, and
Absolutely.
we'll reach out to you guys. And I've got so many things going on, but it does sound like a fun thing to jump into if I get some time.
Yeah. No worries.
Of course.
I'll just send you all the codes.
That would be awesome. Oh, and I could even link to you on the Robots Radio YouTube. I've been doing some more YouTube videos and stuff. I have one about
Awesome. Yeah.
Wastelanders
Likewise.
info, so we can always share links on there too.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Absolutely. Send anything
Yeah.
away. I will do that.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, we'll let you go,
Yeah.
and then we'll finish recording the rest of the episode. So
All
Yeah,
right.
great.
Have a
All
good
right,
one, you
thank you all.
guys. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank
See
you.
ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
I thought that was great. I think that to start off with the first episode and have such a great guest from the get, that's going to be really powerful.
They're just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the people that have been kind of operating in the background that get no recognition beyond their own circles, that put in a lot of effort into creating kind of a cool experience for people.
yeah, it's clearly a passion project.
Yeah.
So to wrap up this episode, we have kind of a soapbox segment that we are calling the Abraxo Box.
And now it's time for the Random Rant, sponsored by Abraxo. When it comes to tough stains such as blood, bodily fluids, or sweet and sour sauce, nothing gets out those stains like Abraxo. Now with 3 times the suds and industrial chemical compounds.
And Dave is going to get up on the Abraxo Box. In fact, Dave, you physically, he just pulled one out of the closet. You don't actually have to stand. Okay, go ahead. Stand on the Abraxo Box. That's cool.
Each week we pull a random rant out of the Abraxo Box. This one comes from Salty in Saskatoon. He writes,
Since Bethesda claims to read this, I'll be posting here. After work, I'm going to an ATM and take out $100. That money will be placed into a piggy bank until IO Interactive releases Hitman 3. At which point, not only will I buy the game of endless assassination fun, I'll pre-order it, along with all DLC content. IO listens to the fans, knows what they want, and delivers constant free content in the form of reworked parts of levels for a new mission, gadgets, and weapons, challenges, escalations. They're upfront and honest with all their answers to questions. There have been numerous times when the devs implemented features when the community asked for it. You, Bethesda, have ended up being a gin. Unlike IO, you want more stash space? Sure, it will cost you a sub. You want repair kits that you can craft and have an advantage if you prepare properly? Of course, it's in the Atom Store. You want player vending? It's tied to your stash. You want tints? Subscribe now. A legendary vendor? Let's have a slot machine with a limited amount of currency that you can generate so more people struggle with storage space for their legendaries. Not to mention the pain of tracking its resets. It's like asking the djinn for $1 million. Then he kills your dear parents. So when they read the will, you get the inheritance. Everything has to be just so painful. Just about the only thing missing is that when you add perk presets, you will put them into the membership. There have been good things also, but the bad outweighs the good so much. At this point, the camel's back is broken. End rant. I just enjoyed this rant because of the comparisons of being a djinn. It's like, all of a sudden they pulled out, it's like, okay, Bethesda's now a genie.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
I feel like this person is not older than 17.
No, I do not think so.
This is something I would write like when I was like 17 and just pissed off at like the game company that was doing things because I couldn't afford it, or like not to say that some of these things aren't actual legitimate critiques, just the way this is phrased is
it's fantastic. I love the idea that all of a sudden it's like okay, first of all, he talks about Hitman 3 for a good bit. Right. And this is posted in the Fallout 76 sub. This is not like this is like in the space for Fallout. And then he goes off on his gin tangent.
Who's playing Hitman 3? Honestly.
Yeah, it's not even out yet. That's what he's saying, is when it comes out, he's going to put all of his money into it.
Right.
I picture this being read in a voice even more ridiculous. Something like, everything has to be so painful. Just about the only thing missing is, like
I like to picture it like it's in the 1700s and it's they're at the tea party and it's like John Adams is giving this riveting speech and then he talks about gins and you're like, listen, just because we all watch The Witcher on Netflix doesn't mean that we can start pulling out all these obscure monster references.
Yeah, this is quite the rant.
So that brings me to a good discussion point. What do you all think about Bethesda's Fallout First membership in general?
Well, Ken, you've been a subscriber. You have some first-person experience with it.
I have. So
You're part of the aristocracy. I know
You're part of the aristocracy, yeah. You and your $100.
My $12.99 a month. Begone, peasants. When I first heard about this, I was kind of iffy. And so I looked at it from a couple of perspectives. One, because I love a lot of the stuff that they were putting in the Atom Store, I actually mathematically added up what I had spent in the Atom Store and then compared that to what I would spend on a subscription. And on top of that, getting the free atoms. And that alone made sense. The other reason it made sense to me, from a business standpoint, it's challenging with a limited priced model to just suddenly roll out private servers for people to play on without having some way to kind of offset the costs of that. Most people don't know that Bethesda, the private servers, are run on Amazon Web Services. And working in marketing, I kind of know what that costs on a monthly basis. And as far as what the average person is paying to get access to those servers, you're getting it barely above cost. So it's not like Bethesda is really jacking up the price to get you in there. I'm sure they were heavily negotiated below base rates, but my point is to be able to pay to get access to those servers and run your own groups, do events. It made total sense to me. I think a lot of the outrage has died down at this point, and a lot more people are getting it because the survival tent is kind of fantastic. You can plop it down at a queen fight and get up off the ground if you're a heavy build and don't want to be attacked by, cave crickets to death.
I hadn't thought about that. That's
super helpful. I noticed a lot of people plop their tents down, everyone piles on top, so that's really helpful. Having the stash box as part of that at a queen fight is also helpful, so if, like me, with a bloody build you die, I keep dumping my stuff into my stash so other players can't take it off my body. Also, while you're exploring, if you want to have a better experience and swear off fast travel, as you're exploring, be able to drop down a tent and kind of camp out like a real experience in Appalachia would be. You can do that without, moving your camp every 5 minutes. So that's great. The unlimited stash box is kind of fantastic as well.
Yeah, to me, I think it kind of seemed like there was so it's about $12 a month or $100 a year, but with that you get not only all of these features, but you get 1,600 atoms. Now, the opinion aside that maybe things are a little too pricey in the Atom Store, which I would agree with, for what it equates to in the value, like in your purchase price, generally a 100 atoms is $1. And if you're paying $12 a month for 1,600 atoms, which would be $16, plus the private server situation, like what do they call it? Like your home server?
Yeah, just private servers.
Yeah. Your scrap box, the tent, and some of the little extra cosmetics. To me, if you're playing and investing already in the Atom Store, it seems like a deal if you're actively doing the microtransaction.
If I can chime in real quick. I think a lot of people are also looking at this from the perspective of having played a game like Fallout 4, which didn't have regular online content, regular updates the same way that this stuff has been doing. But when you come at it from the MMO side, when you look at something like a sibling product for Bethesda like Elder Scrolls Online, you pay $15 a month in order to get ESO Plus, and that gives you an unlimited basically stash box for your gathering stuff. It gives you access to other parts of the map. It gives you crowns, which are the equivalent of money for the in-game store. There are a lot of parallels between what you're getting here and what you would be getting for something like an MMO to help offset the cost of running something like that on lots of servers for lots of people and balancing out that cost. So it makes sense. It's not like it's a surprise to see a game which is basically Fallout's MMO come up with some sort of subscription model that gives you a bunch of stuff for the cost that's more than what you would have paid individually.
Yeah, I agree. The last point I guess I had when it came to it is I think at launch, this game obviously ended up not being what people expected. If you played it single player, didn't want to talk to anybody or join a faction, it would be a very lonely, boring experience, I think. Whereas if you run in a faction, you team up with people, you enjoy each other's company maybe more than the challenge of the in-game experience itself after you've completed the main quest, which is what keeps me coming back every night is the people. If you have none of that, the experience was kind of lacking. From a business standpoint, Bethesda is essentially taking this entire game and redesigning it from the ground up into a more traditional experience, which is a very expensive, costly thing to do from a business standpoint. So if my $12.99 can make that happen and keep me playing and enjoying it, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, would you recommend this to most people who are still regularly playing the game?
I think
with other people, that kind of thing.
I think if you run with a lot of people, it's not as mandatory than if you run on your own, because for the most part, you can just kind of bum off other people's servers. Especially if you frequently running groups, you kind of may not use yours as much if everyone's in one private server. Like
right. Well, that adds like an extra bonus too. Like it only takes one friend in the friend group to want to jump in, and then everyone else gets benefits from that too.
There's also kind of a middle ground that I figured out. It's I guess if you ever want to buy something in the Atom store, and generally this, like, anything runs around $1,500 or below, if you just get the membership just for the atoms, not only do you get the atoms at a discount, which is like $4 discount on atoms, you also get the scrap box. And even once you discontinue your membership, everything you put in your scrap box stays there. You can't put anything else in it, but it almost acts as like a bank, like a reserve for your scrap that you have. So if you are thrifty and are interested in it but don't really want to commit to that every month, I think it's a good middle ground to get it every once in a while, especially if you're planning on I'm traveling this month, so I know that I'm going to be getting more playtime in or something like that. I think it's a good way to experience some of the benefits without having to keep up with.
And that's a fantastic point too, because there are limited time events that pop up that can be problematic to do on public servers. Like the Christmas event, I know on PC it was kind of buggy. And if you didn't get a tag in on the Christmas Scorched, the Holiday Scorch, you lose you can't loot anything off them. So on a public server, it kind of becomes a bit of a drag. In a private server, you can kind of grind through, bring your friends in as a group, and claim those Scorched, and really max out the ability to get all the plans that you want in the time that the event's going.
Yeah, sounds very beneficial. Yeah. If you're the target audience, the audience that is into the things on the store, that needs more space in a loot box, that really wants to have your own server, wants to be playing with your friends in a very specific environment. It seems a little bit ridiculous to be all up in arms about something like this when it's not something that's absolutely needed in order to enjoy the game in general. Yeah,
I don't know. I still think they're a bunch of gins in their lamps, like the Christina Aguilera song, "Genie in a Bottle."
A gin in a bottle.
I would take gin in a bottle. If they had gin in a bottle, I'd take that.
They had that in Vegas. It was very expensive.
Make myself a sandwich with some gin mustard.
All right, guys. Well, that sounds like it's about it for this episode. And thank you so much for tuning in to all of our listeners. I hope this broadcast makes it out of our little vaults. If it doesn't the first time, I'll start working on the antenna out on the outside. Although we're gonna have to make it look like a tree so nobody discovers this place.
Yeah, it'll be important that people don't come out here and find where this is.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get any surprise visitors other than the ones that already showed up for this episode.
We need to learn from the Whitespring bunker. That's the goals. Whitespring bunker is goals.
Kill trespassers? What?
I was thinking fancy, a bunch of robots walking around looking all awesome.
Could probably activate Mr. Handy's combat subroutines.
Oh no, don't do that, Ken. Don't do that.
We can put him on like guard patrol around the outside. So, all right. Well, thank you for joining me, guys. Let's go through. I'll wrap it up at the end, but why don't we go through and you guys let everyone know how to get a hold of you and where to plug in for stuff that you've been doing. Let's start with Ken.
You can find our podcast at fallout76podcast.com on Anchor, Pandora, Stitcher, Spotify, etc. You can also find the link to the Discord that we play on. So if you're out there, you're not enjoying the experience, in our group that Dave joined today, actually, we have players on all platforms. So come hang out. We have fun in there.
I'm infiltrating all of your groups. That's the goal. Listen, if you have a group or a chat, I'm going to infiltrate it, and then we'll post a picture of my dog. You know that's going to happen.
Oh, I thought you were going to say butt. Post a picture of my butt. That'd be gross.
I would need my gin in a bottle at that point.
All right, Dave. How can people find you?
You can find me at Twitter at Dave Chafinz, DaveChafinz. I've got that down to a point. You can find me on Instagram at Chafinz. I am launching a new show that's going to be weekly, coming out February the 19th, called Mystery Time Live. If you have listened to the Cryptid Cast, it's kind of an evolution of that show with some live elements thrown in. I'm very excited about that. Other than that, I think that's it.
Awesome. And all of these shows are part of the Robots Radio Network, robotsradio.net. or at robots_radio on Twitter. And you can find my shows also on the network, the Fallout Lorecast, the Elder Scrolls Lorecast, some other things that I've been doing intermittently out there. And all of those things are available on, whatever device you like to listen to podcasts on. So you can go check all that stuff out. But if you want a rundown of all the shows on the network, either robotsradio.net, or you can check out the Robots Radio Discord channel, where there are individual channels for all the different shows and all the notifications and all the fun stuff that we're doing on the network. So thank you for tuning in, everyone. And guys, it is getting kind of late. Are there beds? Did you find beds in here yet? Are we staying the night in this? I bet it gets really creepy in here when
there's
it's dark.
a stained mattress and a Mothman sleeping bag. I'm leery about.
I'm gonna get in, and I think I've got this little bag, but I think that if I get in there, I might have a ticker that says I have radworms.
Yeah, we may want to come back in the morning.
Ooh, Radaway.
All right, we're going to try to find our way out of the forest. Wish us luck, and we'll talk to you guys on the next episode. See you guys later.
This is Commander Connor Johns, and welcome to the Fallout 5 New Responders HQ, here in Fallout 76. Our community is based around the roleplay of the lost faction known as the Responders. When you join the ranks of the 5 you become your character. Through roleplay quests and events in-game, in-character interaction on our Discord, you grow and develop your character's story within the community lore. But that's just the beginning. We take Fallout 76 to the next level by creating multimedia player quests using our website and the in-game mechanics. Players both in the 5 and outside community can experience immersive quests and storytelling that shape the roleplay lore of the 5 community and the partner factions. And coming soon, Fallout 5, our episodic TV series where you can become an actor. So head on over now to the Fallout 5, that's Fallout FIVE0.com, and you can become the story.
I am the head of the Enclave Science Division.
I am Cadet Tom Higgins of the Fallout 5.
I am head of the New Responders Recon Unit.
I am the Chief Medical Officer.
I'm a responder.
I am a warrior of the Northern Mountains.
I'm a fire breather.
I'm Agent Micro from 5-0 Responder.
I am a fire breather.
I'm a 5-0 new responder.
I'm a fire breather.
We are the Fallout 5-0. We are the lore.